And welcome to your election headquarters. You're live on Joy 99.7 FM. We're live tonight on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. My name is Evans Mins, and tonight we have a panel for you. The editors will be joining us very shortly, analyzing everything that is happening as we build up to tomorrow's polls here on your election headquarters. Tonight, we know that the Inspector General of Police is expressing cautious optimism with barely 24 hours to the polls, warning they will not countenance any form of hooliganism. We have details on that story for you. Also, with just 13 hours for the polls to open in 29,000 polling centres across the country, we assess the preparation of the Electoral Commission towards tomorrow's general elections. Tonight, we are in 3 different locations with live feeds for you as we build up to tomorrow. We are live at the Electoral Commission headquarters, where we're expecting a press briefing by the Electoral Commission shortly. We are also live at the MPP headquarters, where we are expecting an emergency briefing very shortly. Also, the NDC headquarters, we understand they've called another briefing there tonight. Also, we'll be live at a press briefing addressed by the West Africa Network for Peace Building on the security situation. 4 different live programs all here on your election headquarters, with updates across the country also on how the EC is preparing for tonight. We'll start tonight with the very latest for you. This is a special programming ahead of Election Day, and it begins right now. Let's start right now from the headquarters of the Electoral Commission, where Favor Nunu is standing by for us with a very live update there. Favor, we were told the EC was going to hold the press briefing at 5 p.m. Has it started yet? Do we know what is on the agenda? Okay, we don't have Favor on that line. We'll try and get Favor back on the line and speak to him about that. We'll be going shortly also to the MPP headquarters, NDC headquarters. We'll be also live across the country to our reporters who will be joining us very shortly. We will be also at the press briefing organized by WANEP. But as I say, my colleague Elton John Broby with the political desk is joining me with the very latest as we build up to tomorrow. This is a special programming. Elton, you've been working on speaking to a correspondent, checking on the ground to see how prepared the EC is. What have you picked up so far with, 13 hours to go?
Well, but everything is ready according to our correspondence and according to the Electoral Commission. Everything is ready. They've deployed all the electoral materials to all the polling centers, hoping that tomorrow, when the polls opens at 9 a.m., the over 29,000 polling centers will have adequate electoral materials for a smooth start of the program. Even for areas considered overseas, they, in conjunction with the military, they are using helicopters to carry electoral material, and I've seen pictures of some of them.
And when we say overseas, just to clarify, these are areas cut off.
Yeah, you cannot
either by a river or some
Exactly.
sort of, whatever it is that is blocking people from accessing there through the usual channels, road, etc.
Exactly.
These are places that you have to reach with.
You have to reach by air.
By air.
And the Ghana Armed Forces, they've been very helpful. They provided the Electoral Commission with the necessary, means. So such areas are not cut out, and everything, according to the Electoral Commission, is ready for tomorrow. Over 29,000 polling centers, ballot papers, ballot boxes, electoral officers, 5 in all to man each polling center. They are ready, and tomorrow at 7 a.m. the expectation from the Director of Election is that everything will start across the country without delay.
Okay, Elton, stay with us, Elton. Elton will stay with us throughout this program. We can go live now to the EC headquarters, where Favor Nunu is standing by for us. Hello, Favor. Has the press conference started? Do we know what is on the agenda?
Yes, the press conference is just about starting in the next minute or two. The chairperson of the EC, Charlotte Osei, has just walked in with Amadou Sule, among other executives. What actually is on the chairperson's itinerary would be that she intends to tonight address all Ghanaians on the Commission's preparedness for tomorrow's polls. Apparently, they have rolled out all their materials and are expecting that by the beginning of poll 7 tomorrow, they will be ready to actually walk all Ghanaians through the process of exercising their franchise. We also understand that there are some decisions that were agreed upon at an IPAC meeting and these have to do with procedures on the ground at the various polling stations, so that, for example, if there's a ballot paper which is torn, there's a process that the various polling agents, the NPP and NDC, have to go through in order to allow or disallow.
Okay, Favor, I need to step in here. Apologies, because I can see that the EC chairperson has just begun the press briefing. We will take that live feed and we'll bring you analysis of what she says once she's done. So we're having a slight challenge with the sound from the Electoral Commission headquarters there. We'll try and get that corrected quickly and bring you that live press conference that is currently underway at the Electoral Commission. We'll get Favor back on the line, though, to fill us in as we wait for this technical glitch to be corrected. Favor will join us very shortly on the line so he can, of course, fill us in as we move along so we don't miss much until that is corrected. But I think we're obviously expecting the EC tonight to tell us where we are with, what, 12 or so hours to go. Where is the EC right now with the preparation, dispatching of materials, etc.? That's what we're expecting to hear tonight.
Exactly, and also how the EC intend to deal with concerns that were raised during the early votes, and how, if it should reoccur, how the EC intend to deal with it. Because this is a one-off activity. Tomorrow, there will not be any extension if there should be challenges. So the EC will have to tell Ghanaians how they've dealt with the early voting challenges and how that, if a reoccur, will be resolved going forward, especially tomorrow. We have over 50 million people expected to come through and vote. This is, higher than what we witnessed on the 1st of December. So what the EC woman will be telling Ghanaians is what they've done, how, they will deal with challenges when they come at the polling centers going forward.
Okay, so let's go back to the EC headquarters now. Let's try and see if we can have that sound now on and listen to what she has to say.
As we get into the final lap, we encourage all of you to keep up the good work, and especially for our polling station officials, please follow the law and let all of us do our very best for our country. Over the last few days, the Commission organized a special voting, which is also early voting, for the security personnel, the journalists who are involved in election duty, and electoral officials. We received complaints from security personnel about their inability to find their names on the special voting list. It is important to clarify that special voting is for staff of the Electoral Commission, security agencies, or journalists who are to be deployed outside their usual places of residence on election day. Special voting is not for all officers of the security agencies, or all electoral officers, or all journalists. Accordingly, the Commission works with the lists that were provided by the institutions and the organizations. As we have stated repeatedly, the challenges that were occasioned during the special voting exercise were due to a number of factors. There were persons who did not transfer their votes when the transfer window was opened earlier in the year and wanted to use the special voting as an opportunity to transfer their votes to a constituency other than where they are registered. The law does not permit this. On their officers. So it was very difficult for the Commission to assign them to their right constituencies. In addition, not all officers were going to be deployed for polling duties on election day, and so were not intended for special voting. But a lot of officers turned up to vote whether their names were included in the special voters list or not. As a listening commission and in consultation with the political parties and the hierarchy of the security agencies, we added a second day for the continuation of the special voting exercise. So for people whose names were on the list and they had gone to the wrong constituencies on the first day, they were able to find their names on the list. If your name was not on the special voting list, it means that you are not intended to vote on special voting day, and so you will vote tomorrow. We have made adequate engagement, we've entered into adequate engagement with the security agencies so that personnel whose names are not on the special voting list but who are taking part in election-related duties would be deployed to work areas close to constituencies where they are registered, so that they can vote tomorrow and go about their duties. And when they get to the polling stations, our officers have been advised and they will be given priority at the polling stations. As a commission, it is our job to run elections and to get people to vote. It is not in our interest to deny anyone the right to exercise their franchise. And so the challenges that were encountered, yes, they could have been avoided, but they were not intentional, and they were not intended to deny anyone of the right to vote. We're happy to announce that in spite of the challenges, there was an 80% turnout in the special voting exercise. And this is consistent with the turnout numbers we're expecting in this year's election. Now to the elections tomorrow. We are expecting a total voting population of 15,712,449 voters. 499 voters. Voting will take place at 28,992 polling stations in 275 constituencies across the country. We are deploying about 148,000 election officials to conduct the polls and to manage the collation centers. We are receiving support from about 64,000 security personnel to ensure a safe and peaceful environment for all voters to exercise their franchise freely and without intimidation. There would be a total of 70,709 biometric verification devices that are used at the polling stations. There will be 2 BVDs per polling station with sufficient backups at the district offices to deal with any unexpected challenges with any of the devices. There will also be 4 technicians on standby in each of our district offices to respond rapidly to any technical challenges at a polling station. And we would have 20 technicians manning our 24-hour operation center at the head office to provide additional support. For this year's elections, we have accredited over 12,400 foreign and local observers. The observers include the Commonwealth Observer Mission, led by His Excellency Thabo Mbeki, the former President of South Africa. The African Union Observer Team is led by His Excellency Pohamba, the former President of Namibia. The ECOWAS Observer Mission is led by His Excellency Professor Amos Sawyer. The European Union Observers, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, the International Republican Institute, the National Democratic Institute, and the United Nations Association of Ghana are among the other observer missions we have. And so it's a very strong observer team, and we look forward to working with them and to their support. Now, everything is set for tomorrow. Every polling station requires about 97 different items for elections to vote. These include the presidential ballot papers, the parliamentary ballot papers, the jackets for our staff, the tactile jackets for visually impaired people, the demarcation tapes, the voting screens, indelible ink, thumbprint pads, validation stamps. All those items have been delivered already to all the 216 districts of the country, and I think in some of the more remote areas, movement has started already. We have already given the voters register and the supplementary list and the list of polling stations to all the political parties and candidates. It is untrue that the Electoral Commission has split polling stations on the blind side of any political party. All the parties are aware of the polling station locations, and I think they've been aware for more than a month now, and they have registers for all the individual polling stations. The polling station list and the locations have also been shared with the security agencies and observers. All the officers we require for election day duty have been recruited. They have gone through a rigorous training process, and they have been assigned to their polling stations, and they're expected to be on duty tomorrow. Backup officials were also trained in the event that some officials are unable to show up or work tomorrow, the backup will be deployed. Our National Collation Center is ready. Each presidential candidate is entitled to 2 representatives, 2 agents at the center at all material times during the collation process until the final results are declared. We would also permit representatives of the main observer groups, as well as the National Media Commission, National Commission for Civic Education, Ghana Journalists Association, and the Women's Situation Room into the National Collation Center. The 275 constituency collation centers are also ready. And again, at those centers, the parliamentary candidates are entitled to 2 agents at the constituency collation centers. We would also have a media center at the head office for regular press briefings on election day and until the final results are declared. There is a phone line set up for our technical staff, and it is linked to the National Operations Room. This line is ready and it's been tested, and all our staff have been put on it. We also have activated a short code 6363 for the public. If you are not sure where you are voting tomorrow, we would encourage you to text your voter ID number to 6363, and you will get a response which will confirm your registration status and your polling station details. You can also call that number if you want to bring any complaints or any queries to our attention. In addition to this arrangement, the media team of the Commission can also be contacted on a toll-free number which we have set up. It is 0800 818 818 or 0303 968 750 or 0303 976 568. You can reach us on these numbers throughout the election day and beyond, and we will take your queries, we'll take your questions, we'll take your concerns. If you notice anything unlawful which is going on, we encourage you to call these numbers and file a report, and so you can bring in the security agencies immediately. We also want to remind the public of a few security policies and laws which the security agencies have put in place. We want to remind the public that the sale of alcohol within 500 meters of a polling station is prohibited. In addition, the police have determined that between the hours of 5 p.m. tomorrow and 6 a.m. on December 8th, the use of motorbikes is not permitted. In addition to this, on election day, motorbikes are not permitted within 400 meters of a polling station. Please be guided accordingly. Now we'll go into the actual process. It is part of our laws and our policies that before polling begins on election day, the presiding officer must show an empty ballot box to everyone present at the polling station to confirm that the box is empty before voting starts. Now, as a voter, the first desk you will go to at the polling station is the name reference table. The officer at the name reference table would assist you to find your name on the list and in the voters register of your polling station. If your name is not on the register of your polling station, it means you cannot vote there. When your name is found, the officer will examine your finger to ensure you have not already voted. Once your name is found, the name reference officer will refer you to the verification desk, which is the second desk, and will provide the page number and column of your details on the register to the verification officer. At the verification table, your biometric barcode in the voters register will be scanned. When it is scanned, your picture and your biographic details would appear. After that, you would be requested to put any of your fingers on the scanner of the BVD. If for any reason you place one finger and the BVD rejects that finger, please do not keep putting the same finger on the BVD. We have captured all your fingerprints on the BVD, so try your other fingers. When the verification is successful, the BVD will show a green light and a voice message will say verified. If there is no match, a red light will be shown with a voice message that says rejected. If further efforts to verify you by the BVD fail, then you may be verified manually. The manual verification will be done if the BVD fails to verify all your 10 failures. In this case, the presiding officer will inform agents of all political parties present or candidates present at the polling station about the failure of the BVD to verify the voter. The presiding officer would then fill the manual verification form as provided in the law, and thereafter, the voter's barcode will be deactivated in the register, and the indelible ink will be applied to your left index finger. The next step is the ballot table. At the first ballot table, a ballot paper would be detached from the booklet and validated by a unique stamp provided by the Commission to all polling stations. We urge all voters to ensure when they get the ballot paper that they check that the ballot paper has been stamped, because if the validation stamp is not on the ballot paper, the ballot would be rejected. After the ballot has been stamped, it will be folded by the ballot issuer, first vertically and then horizontally. It will be handed to the voter, and the voter will then proceed to the voting screen where you have the privacy to thumbprint for your preferred candidate for the presidential election. When you drop the ballot paper into the presidential ballot box, you would have to go back to the second ballot issue at the fourth desk for the parliamentary ballot paper to be issued to you. Once you have thumbprinted again in the voting screen for your preferred parliamentary candidate, please drop the ballot into the box marked parliamentary ballot box, and that ends the voting process. We would request that at this point that all voters, after you vote, please go home, and you can return at 5 p.m. to observe the counting and the declaration of the result. All parties and candidates are entitled to have agents at the polling station to police the process throughout the day. We do not need members of the public massing up at the polling stations once they have finished voting. We have also made special arrangements for persons with disabilities and vulnerable persons in our society. For all persons with visual impairments or who are blind, there are tactile ballot jackets at the polling stations. Please request for them. All polling stations have been given two, one for the presidential ballot and another for the parliamentary ballot. You will be given this if you choose to vote independently. If you do not choose to use that and vote independently, you are permitted to go into the voting screen with someone to support you and assist you in voting. For all voters who have disabilities, and for vulnerable voters such as pregnant women and mothers and fathers who are older, we have advised our officers to give them priority at the voting queues so that they can vote quickly and they do not spend too much time in the line. We would urge all voters to be patient as we support the more vulnerable persons in our society, and to remind you that because we have expanded the number of polling stations, the polling stations list are also smaller, and so we do not expect that you will have unreasonably long waits at the polling stations. There are also some integrity mechanisms which have been introduced into the process and which make the election process more transparent and more credible. As I mentioned earlier, every voter is required to be either biometrically or manually verified before they can vote. Where manual verification is used, the presiding officer must fill the manual verification form. He must sign the manual verification form. The voter is required to also sign the manual verification form on thumbprinted, and the form has to be endorsed by all agents at the polling station. The ballot paper given to the voter must also be validated by the unique stamp provided by the Commission to the polling station. After the ballot issuer has stamped the ballot paper, It is now a requirement, it's an administrative policy which we agreed with the political parties, that the ballot issuer must hold up the ballot paper to the scrutiny of everyone present at the polling station. Everyone must see that it is a single ballot paper that is being given to the voter, and everyone must be able to see that that ballot paper has been validated before it is handed to the voter. You cannot give more than one ballot paper to a voter. And we want to remind our ballot issuers that there are sanctions in the law which carry, some of them are a term of imprisonment and a fine in addition, and these sanctions are personal to the ballot issuer and to all our other electoral officials. And so we would encourage them strongly to follow the law and not risk legal sanction. In addition, every voter's biometric barcode is to be deactivated after verification and after their index fingers have been marked with indelible ink. Every register is unique to the polling station, and a voter's name only appears on one register. This prevents the voter from being able to vote at different polling stations. We want to remind you that, again, electoral offenses are criminal. If you try it, you will be arrested and you will be dealt with in accordance with the law. This year, working with the security agencies, voters are not permitted to enter the voting screens with a bag or with a purse. No mobile phones will be allowed into the voting screen. No pens will be allowed. No food or drinks will be allowed. You can only enter the voting screen with the ballot paper that has been issued to you. Again, we want to remind the public that our polls are conducted in open places, and at the end of the polls, the official and agents will check to ensure that the number of people ticked on the register tallies with the number of people who have been biometrically and manually verified, and this is to ensure that there is no discrepancy and there is no ballot stuffing. At the end of the voting, the sorting of the ballots will be done in full view of the public. Counting will take place in public. The declaration will be done in public, and the recording of the results on the results declaration sheets will be done publicly. We have provided solar lamps to all our polling stations, and backup power arrangements have also been made at the constituency collation centers. In addition, this year we have a standardized setup for all polling stations to minimize security threats, to protect the secrecy of the ballot, and to ensure that the agents of candidates and political parties can freely see what is going on at the polling station throughout the day. This will be circulated to all our presiding officers. In addition, again, all presiding officers this election have been issued with gloves. We insist and we expect party agents to ensure that presiding officers wear their gloves before the sorting of ballots and during the counting of ballots. This will prevent allegations of ballots being deliberately stained and consequently rejected after the vote. Our results collation sheets this year are serialized. They all have unique numbers, and they have been customized to each polling station with the name and the polling station code of the polling station printed on it. There are 3,000 replacement sheets in the event of damage to any of the customized results collation sheets. This also have been serially numbered and have been differentiated by color and a watermark. I want to point out again that the entire process of our elections, from the start of voting to the final results declaration process, is closely observed by political party agents, agents of the candidates, local and international observers, the journalists, and members of the public. Transportation of the declared polling station results and ballot papers to the collation centers will be monitored by agents and security personnel. At the collation centers, before the collation begins, party agents this year will be given signed copies of the results declared, The collation at all levels will be done in front of parliamentary candidates if they are there, or their agents, their spouses, journalists, observers, and security personnel. At the National Collation Center, candidates' agents will be required to first confirm the figures before the Commission commences the national collation. This year, we are adding the electronic transmission as another layer of integrity to the process. This system was successfully demonstrated to the political parties and observers on Saturday, the 26th of November 2016. The result encrypted end-to-end, and so it is impossible for anyone, whether within the Commission or outside the Commission, to interfere with the results or to manipulate the results during the transmission process. It is also untrue, rumors have gone around that the Electoral Commission has imported erasable pens for use in the collation process. The EC has not imported any erasable pens. Just like all the candidates, we need the valid results as declared in public. And even if it were possible for us to use these erasable pens to change the results on our copies, it is impossible to go and grab the results from all the agents of the candidates and also change their own. More importantly, this year, each region will have a different color for their validation stamp. This is to prevent any possible importation of fake ballot papers into the electoral process. Strange ballots will be easily identified and isolated during the sorting and counting process. And again, the Electoral Commission has not printed ballot papers in coalition with any political party, and we are not aware of any valid, genuine ballot papers which have been pre-thumb printed. All ballot papers, after printing, were handed over to the security agencies with the party reps present. All the serial numbers were noted, and so if there's any strange ballot paper floating around which has been already thumb printed, we would request that it is brought to our attention, and we will call all the party reps who were present when it was handed over to bring the serial numbers of the ballot papers that were printed, so we can cross-check this and ensure whether they are authentic or not. And so this year we've taken additional steps to ensure that any strange ballots which are imported illegally into the polling stations and put in the boxes will be easily identified and flushed out. And so with these numerous integrity mechanisms, we believe that our electoral system is secure, we believe it is credible, and we believe that it is totally transparent. It is impossible, in our view, for a person or group to interfere or manipulate the electoral outcome in favor of any candidate. One of the main issues that has been of concern to the voting public has been the issue of rejected ballots. This year, we've taken a few steps to minimize the incidence of rejected ballots. We've done extensive public education on how to vote and what constitutes a rejected ballot. We've sent this out in posters, in flyers, and through social media. In addition, this year, the color of the indelible ink that is used to mark a voter's finger will be different from the ink on the thumbprint pad. This is to help reduce the confusion caused by finger stains, from the indelible ink, staining the ballot paper, resulting in the rejection of the ballot. And so this year, there are two distinct colors, and so if there's a stain from the indelible ink, it is clear to all that this is a stain from the indelible ink and does not lead to a rejection of the ballot. We have also improved the design of the ballot paper. The boxes are larger and the black lines in between the candidates' pictures are thicker. This also would minimize the incidence of thumbprints which stray from one box into another, causing the rejection of the ballot. Having said all this, we would now like to turn our attention to the important role of political party and candidates' agents on election day. Political parties and candidates are allowed to have agents at the polling station throughout the process. The agents serve as another mechanism to support the integrity of our elections. At the polling station throughout the process. The agents serve as another mechanism to support the integrity of our elections. agents are permitted to position themselves in a way that they can clearly see or hear everything going on at a polling station during the election. And agents are allowed to move freely around the polling station at all times. They are allowed to call the attention of the presiding officer to anything which they consider to be irregular, and if possible, irregularity forms are available at the polling stations, and we expect them to fill this so that we can have a written account of the alleged irregularity. The agent is allowed to assist the presiding officer at the request of the presiding officer to establish the true identity of a prospective voter whose identity is in doubt. Agents are required to pay close attention to ballots that are rejected. They are to closely observe the counting of the votes and make sure that each ballot is counted in favor of the candidate to whom it was cast. We want to remind agents that they are there to represent their candidates or their parties, and they owe a duty to these candidates and to these parties to take the process seriously and to take their duties seriously. Agents are permitted on behalf of their candidates or parties to ask for a recount if they genuinely believe that the votes have not been counted properly. They are required to sign the declaration of results form, and to make sure that the total number of votes obtained by the candidates have been recorded properly, and obtain a copy of the results form. If an agent has a right to refuse to sign the declaration form, but must provide in writing the reasons for such refusal. But it's important to remember that their refusal to sign does not invalidate the declared results. We want to remind the agents and the parties and the candidates that agents are not allowed to wear colors or items that identify them with a party or a candidate to the polling station or at the polling station. Agents are not allowed to interfere with election administration, such as the counting of the votes after the polls have closed. Agents have no business inspecting the ID cards of voters in the queue, and they cannot directly confront any person at the polling station or prevent anyone from voting. They must respect the rights of the voters at all times. Party agents cannot assist a voter who needs help to vote. That is the job of the presiding officer. Agents have no right to give orders to the election staff or in any way interfere with the process or disrupt their work. They must not attempt to find out how someone is going to vote or how a voter has voted. They are not allowed to handle any election material without the permission of the presiding officer. Finally, it is not their work to supervise the work of the polling staff. That is the work of the presiding officer, and the presiding officer has the right to remove any party or candidate agent whose behavior or conduct is disruptive of the work of polling officials at the polling station. Finally, we want to say that the results collation process this year would be broadcast live on the partner television stations and those who will take their feed from them, and it would also be put out through social media as the results are confirmed. Additionally, our results application, we have a mobile results app. Thumbs App is ready and available for Android phone users for download. You can download the app free of charge, and you can install it on your mobile phone, and once the results start coming in, you'll be able to follow it in real time until the final declaration. Fellow Ghanaians, barring any unforeseen circumstances, we expect election materials to arrive early at all polling stations, and we expect the polls to open at exactly 7 a.m. and to close at 5 p.m. If you are in the queue at 5 p.m., you'll be allowed to vote no matter how long it takes, and so voting at that polling station would stop when the last voter who was in the queue at 5 p.m. has cast their vote. We want to commit all our officials, our staff, all the candidates, all the journalists, the security personnel, the observers, the voters, and all persons involved in the elections into the care of God. We take the opportunity to call on the media to support the process by reporting responsibly, by checking rumors before you publish it, by educating the voters where necessary about the process. Our doors and the doors of our comms team would remain open and would be available throughout the process to engage and to educate. We also urge the media to closely monitor the process and bring anything untoward which they notice to our attention for speedy resolution. Now it is time for all of us to do what is necessary to secure the peace and the stability of our country. I thank all of you for listening, and if you are on the register, please go out tomorrow and vote. Vote lawfully and vote peacefully. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and may God make our nation, Ghana, greater and stronger. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
So we just had the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam Charlotte Osei, giving us the EC's final briefing before we start voting tomorrow at 7 a.m. live on your election headquarters.